Hey there, welcome back. So what I want you to do now is to open an account at Replit. Replit is a workspace for development. It's a place where we can do coding, we can host the code, we can do deployment, and we can also use AI agents to code for us. It's a very comprehensive solution, and it's a very easy solution to get started with. And so what I want you to do is go to replit.com and start an account there. This is going to be your free account, and all we are going to use for this course or for this section are free features. So you don't have to pay anything. You just sign up for an account, and we're going to meet again in the next lecture to start working on developing our first app. So go to replit.com, sign up for an account, and I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. I hope you are in Replit already. So once you open up Replit, you will get this interface, which really looks like a chatbot, like ChatGPT or Gemini, etc. And that's basically what it is. And this is where we're going to start our journey of vibe coding, basically giving it a prompt and then asking it to build on that prompt. And so we're going to start with something very, very simple. And we're going to be focusing on web applications. One, because this is the easiest type of applications to work with, and two, because Replit is really more about web applications rather than other type like Android or iOS. So let's go ahead and get started. And for this first application we're going to do together, we're going to design a quiz app. So this is going to be an app that asks you a couple of questions, and then you answer, and it tells you if your answers are correct or not correct. And so I prepared a little prompt right here. We're going to say, create a web application that asks two multiple choice trivia questions. Then it tells the user if the answers are correct or not. And because we're starting very simple, I would invite you to use exactly the same prompt I am using. So we have our prompt. I'm going to click Start Building. And once we do that, this agent is going to get started on working to build our application. And it's going to tell you what it's doing in the background. So right here, it tells you it was thinking, and then it's reviewing the message. And then as it's build the application, it will tell you what it's going to do. And so first of all, it gives us a plan. It's going to be a modern web app. It's going to have whatever integration out there. To be honest, it doesn't really matter for us. For now, we're just going to do the initial version, and that's basically it. Again, we're not going to focus too much into those details. We're going to come back to those later. But for now, I'm just going to approve the plan and start the execution of building this app. So I'll approve the plan and start. And that's when we're going to have Replit start working on developing our application. And here on the right, you're going to see a preview of what it's actually doing, or the progress that it has. And on the right, it will tell you what it's doing in the background. So it doesn't matter for us. We're just here to vibe, and so we're just gonna let it do its work. Okay, and now the agent is done developing the first version of our application. And it tells us that I have created a trivia application that presents, etc., etc., etc. And here on the right, we can actually see the application, and then we can test it out. So let's go ahead and do that. So which planet is known as the red planet? And I'm going to say Venus. What is the capital of Japan? I'm going to say Tokyo. And then I'm going to say finish. And oh, look at that. I have one answer correct out of two. Now, if you have done exactly the same prompt like we did, you will very likely get different questions. You will very likely get a different looking application. And this is expected and it's very, very normal. And this is really similar like to chatting with ChatGPT or other generative tools. It doesn't matter if two people ask the same questions, you will end up getting slightly different answers. That because of this element of randomization that happens with AI, but it's generally okay. And our application looks very, very good. So I can try again. I'm gonna say, what's there at the planet? Actually, I have no idea. I'm gonna guess Jupiter. And capital of Japan is Tokyo. I'm not getting the right answer. Let me try Mercury. Still not getting the right answer. I'm gonna try Mars, because that's the last option I have not tried. And that is correct. So now I have a full mark. And basically what I did now is we developed an application out of a prompt. And then we came here to the right and we started playing around with the application to make sure it actually works. And now that we have a foundation of an app that is functioning to a reasonable extent and it looks okay, then comes the next stage of development in which we can start playing around with the features, we can play with the interface, we can make it more specific towards something, etc., etc., etc. So for now, congratulations, you have developed your first app. In the next video, we're going to come back, we're going to still be working on the same application, but now we're going to make adjustments and refinement to it. So congratulations again, and I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. In the last video, we created our first applications, a very simple application with two trivia questions. Now we have something that is functional and it looks decent as a start. We're going to go ahead and have few adjustments made to this application we have. And we're going to do this in the same way we built the application. We're coming back to the agent and we're going to prompt it to modify that app we have developed. One key point to keep in mind is that when we're asking for modifications or adjustments, it's a good practice to ask one feature at a time. So let's say we want to adjust or add in 3 or 4 more features. Do not dump them all into the AI because then it might get confused and make some really messy outputs. And so we're going to do a few modifications, as in a few features, and we're going to do those one after the other. We're going to start by let's say changing the type of questions and maybe increasing them to 4, or let's say 3 instead of 2. So I'm going to say replace the current trivia questions to new ones related to cats and space. Also, make them 3 questions instead of 2. And then I'm gonna send that prompt. And after you send it, you're just gonna wait to see what the AI does to implement the requests you have made. And after it does that, we're going to test it again and see if the features that we have requested is actually properly implemented. Okay, so here in the chat box, it's asking us a question if we want to add a database to store user data. We're going to skip that for now because maybe later in the course we can come back to it. So now we have 3 questions instead of 2. So that's number 1. Number 2 request we had was to change the type of questions to be about cats and space. So this first question is about space. What planet has the most moons in our solar systems? I'm just gonna say Neptune. I'm quite bad at this. I'm just guessing more or less. And here's another question about cats. What is the average span of a domestic cat? I'm going to say 15, 20. And this is another question about stars, which I have no idea what this is. So I'm just gonna guess and then I'll finish. And congratulations for me, I got 0 correct answers. However, I can see or conclude that the AI have implemented the feature I want in the correct manner. So now I can go ahead and ask for another feature. And this time I'm going to have a score counter. And so I'm going to have a score counter that shows how many answers the user got correct. And I want that score counter to show with every question. So I'm just going to add in, I'm going to say show a score counter with every question that shows how many answers I got correct. And just like that, we have a score counter being displayed. So let's give this application another shot. So which planet has the most moons in our solar system? I'm gonna go with Uranus. And I'm going to go with 20 to 25 for the lifespan of a domestic cat. And you can see the scoring here is maybe not the best. It says 0 out of 2 because I got 0 correct answer, I'm guessing, out of the last 2. Let me see this one here. I guess this answer. And again, I got 0 correct answers out of 3. I really want to try and at least get 1 correct answer. So Saturn. And yeah, now you can see the score is 1 out of 1, which means I got 1 correct answer. This one I'll do 10 to 15. Oh, that's another correct answer, I'm guessing. And this one I'm gonna do a wrong answer. And good job, we have functioning app as well. And now we can see that this score counter also works. These adjustments that we have just made are not perfect, right? Maybe I would have wanted the score to be out of 3 always instead of out of 0, and then increases and so on. But at least we have the score function implemented in our design. And just like that, you can ask for even more modification. Obviously, I ran out of my free usage limit, so we can stop here. If you have more quota for your case, you can try more adjustments as well. You can ask it to make a dark mode for the application that you can toggle on and off, or you can ask it to show the correct answer after every submission, etc., etc., etc. You can also ask it to change the user interface, to add maybe a picture or an icon here on top, or to change the colors and so on. And that's basically how you adjust or you start fixing an app, by either adjusting the features that are in there or adding new features using simple text prompting. The key point here is to modify one feature at a time. Either modify one feature at a time or add one feature at a time, because this makes it much easier for the AI to interpret what you mean and then apply it into the code and into your application. So if you're still here, congratulations on modifying your first application, and you can take some time to play around with the prompts and to just make random adjustments and see what the results you get. And you can always share them with us in the Q&A here, so we can see what every one of us have gotten. Welcome back. So in the previous few videos, we have built an application from scratch, and then we have used the same agent that built the application to adjust and modify and add new features to the application we have. And here I want to take a second to distinguish between two different tools that you will come across. And part of it is terminologies that we have to be aware of, but part of it, or more so, it's the category of AI assistants that we would interact with. And different solutions might have different names for those, but generally you would have this arrangements in many different tools. So what we used previously in the last two videos to build and add features to our app is something called agents. And this is a coding agent that helps us write code to develop an application. And here you're going to see in the tab, it says agent. A lot of time you will have access to another tool, and in Replit, this tool is called assistant. And let's go ahead and go to that as well, just so you can check it out. So here in the tabs, we have a tab that says agent, and there's a plus sign. I'm going to click on it. And this is a new tab. And here you're going to have something called assistant. If you cannot find it here, you can type in the search assistant and it will show up. So let me go ahead and click on it. And here it says chat with assistant. Assistant is more narrow compared to an agent. It doesn't take the full picture of things, but it is lighter and it can be very helpful to make smaller adjustments to refine our app. Of course, there is a blurry line of why would you use an agent versus why would you use an assistant. Generally, an agent is for bigger things, an assistant is for smaller refinement. But a lot of times you can just use an agent for whatever you want if you're okay with the load and you have the quota to use an agent, especially for us now as we are just starting out. But let's go ahead and give Assistant a shot and try to use it to make a few adjustments into our application. And we're going to do a few experiments here to see how big of an adjustment we can get out of this assistant. And to start with, I'm going to try and fix or adjust this score counter. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot. And then I'm going to come to the assistant, give it that screenshot, and I'm going to tell it that I want to make a few adjustments there. This score counter has the format for 0 as a start, where the second number refers to the number of the current question, and the second number refers to the total number of questions, and the first number refers to the number of correct answers. I want you to change that. So the second number will always be the total number of questions. For example, if the quiz has 3 questions, the starting score should be 0 out of 3. And let me give that a shot. One note that you have to keep in mind is to be as precise as possible when you are prompting an agent or an assistant. The more precise you are, the easier it is for that assistant to figure out what you want. So now it kind of concluded what changes to make. I'm not gonna evaluate those. I'll just go ahead and click apply and then test it out immediately. So now we have a new application or a new adjustment where the score is 0 to 3. Let me go ahead and give that a test. Yeah, apparently I got 1 correct answer, so now I got 1 correct out of 3, and I got 2 out of 3. So our application works very, very nicely with this new adjustment. Let's go ahead and test making a bigger adjustment. I'm gonna say add a dark mode that I can toggle on and off to change the UI of the quiz between dark and light modes. This is a relatively bigger adjustment, and we're just gonna test it out and see if the assistant can actually do it for us. While it's making these adjustments, let's talk about terminologies. There are common terminologies that are used within app development. For example, the term dark mode and light modes are quite common right now. And so if you are communicating with AI, it's always good to use terminologies that are used in the industry. And sometimes, if you're not familiar with it, you can ask another AI to figure out those terms for you, or you can search for them and then use them in your prompting, because that brings relevant knowledge for the AI so it can directly use for your application. Again, just now it made few adjustments to the codes. I can go here to preview code changes. I don't really care. I'm just going to go ahead and apply and see what the results are. Apply all, yeah, sure. We have our refreshed application, and here on the corner, we have this moon symbol. If I click on it, I'm going to get a dark mode. If I click on it again, I'm gonna get light mode. Now, if I go to the dark mode, the text is quite dark as well, which is not very ideal. So I can go back to the assistant and prompt it again to change the color of the text in dark mode and make that adjustment. And then after that, if I need more adjustments, I can do those as well. But we're going to stop here for now, at least for this video. And I want you to take some time to actually just play around with this. The best way to learn how to vibe code is to just play around with those agents and just push them around to see what they can do. Again, it's an AI agent and it is connected to an LLM, large language model. So this here we're using Claude, and with AI LLM models, you get a random element to it. So your application will very likely look slightly different than mine in terms of the interface, in terms of the adjustments, in terms of all sorts of things. So you can share how your application looks like in the Q&A so we can check out how the AI made our applications different. And that's it for the assistant, and I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to explore some navigation that you have with Replit. And again, we're using Replit as an example. A lot of other tools used for vibe coding have similar functions as well. But now we're at Replit. We're going to focus on Replit. We're going to look into other tools later in the course as well. First of all, if your app crashes like this, usually this happens if you leave it for a while and then you come back. All you'll have to do is, of course, you can refresh, but you can also click on Run here on top. And this will rerun the code for you to show you the interface of your application. So now we have it back. And of course, you can stop Replit from running your application at any time. Another thing, or another cool thing that you'll have here is you can actually share this application with other people. So you have here open in a new tab, and what this will do is it's going to open up on a browser, and here you'll have a URL that you can share with people. And so if you copy this one, and then I'm gonna open an incognito window just to showcase this, and then you paste it. This will open up the app that you're working on. And so you can basically share this URL to other people, and they can check out the app and give you feedback on it. Just keep in mind that this is what is called a dev URL, which means it will only function if your app or your Replit is actually open into the window itself. So basically this means that this here have to be open for that dev URL to function. So it has some limitation. It's also, if you're using the free version, as is the case with many other tools, then your code and your app will be public, as in they are unprotected. So you can copy the same URL and then write it in your browser, and you're going to access my app, this one which I'm developing right now. And this is because I'm developing it under the free version of Replit. Another thing is if you are out of the project, so let's say you exited and then you came back to Replit later on, you're going to have this type of interface. And then here on the side, you'll have your apps, and this is where you can find all the apps that you are working on. So we have this trivia challenge. This is the app we're working on. You can click on it, and this will take you back to the application, just in case you exited the app and you want to come back to it. One last thing I wanted to show you is this right here. So if you go to this open files option and you click on it, you're going to have a list of files that are created or generated from the or by the AI agent to run your app. So every app you develop will have a lot of files related to it, and those files will include the code that will run the app, including the functional code, the framework code, the aesthetic code, etc. And those, you can find them here under those folders. So you have the client folder, you have the server folder, and you have all sorts of things. So if I go to index.html, you're going to have the index, the HTML for the app itself. And if I go to pages and I go to this one, trivia quiz, you're going to find this page, which gives the structure of this application. So here in the code, you have test your knowledge with these questions about cats in space, and you have the same text here in your app. Again, for most of non-coders, you will not need to check this out, at least not for now. Maybe we'll touch back on them later in the course. However, you just have to know that all your files are actually here in case you want to invite someone to come in to check them out or to fix something for you. You'll have everything right here for you, because at the end of the day, Replit or any other vibe coding tool we're going to use is aimed to produce actual code for actual applications, and you will always have the ability to access that code if you're looking for further development, or if you're looking to take it and deploy it somewhere else, or whatever you need to do with it. Some environments like Replit actually allow you or give you the ability to deploy the app directly, which you can do through this option, but you need to have the paid version to deploy your application. And if you deploy an application, this means you can share it with whoever you want, with your customers or your clients, for them to use it and hopefully enjoy it and benefit from it. So those are some small notes that I wanted to highlight with Replit, just so if you are to continue playing around with it, you know how to find your way around it. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. Hey there, welcome to this section. In this project, what we're going to do is we're going to build an application that looks like this. It's going to have a picture of a cat, the description of the cat, and then here a place for us to take in some notes. And if I click on this button right here that says new cat, I'm going to get a new cat with a new description for this particular cat. So that's a functionality in the app. Also, if I click on the image, I'm gonna get a sound playing from the image. And finally, here on the right, there is a place that you can write notes. So if I write something here, this is an amazing application. Take my money. And then I click on save as a text file. It will save this note as a text file on my desktop. So that's the application we're gonna be building right now. I hope you're excited. So I'll see you in the next video to get started with this. Welcome back. In this section, we're going to be exploring a new tool that is used for vibe coding or for coding and developing applications with AI, where AI is taking most of the heavy lifting. And this tool is called Loveable, and you can go to their website, loveable.dev, and you can sign up to an account. And after that, we're going to come back in the next video and we're going to play around with this tool to develop other types of applications. So you can go to loveable.dev and sign up for an account. Again, we will only be using the free account, so you do not have to pay anything, at least for what are we covering here in this course. So go ahead and sign up, and I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. In this application we are building, we will also capitalize on APIs to request information from other applications, and that can make our application more capable and more advanced. And APIs are something that you will always use, or not always, but you will get to use a lot whenever you develop an application for yourself or for any project you have. So let's go ahead and give those APIs a shot and use them with our vibe coding. Let me introduce what are APIs first, in case you have not used them before. API stands for Application Programming Interface. So they are basically like a digital waiter that lets two apps or systems talk to each other. And so when your app needs an information or a piece of information, like the weather, fun fact, or a photo, it sends a request to another service through the API. The API then brings back the data your app asked for, so you can use it without needing to build everything from scratch. And so in this application we're going to be building, we're going to use the cat API. And that's a fun API that is out there that we can use to request images of cats. And so I want you to go to the catapi.com and then get your API key. So you're going to go click on get your API key. You're going to go get the free version again. You're going to write your email. You're going to write some app description. You'll have it for personal. And then in your email, you will get an API key. And an API key is basically something private that you will keep. It's going to be unique to you, and it will allow you to request a service from the cat API. And so in this project, we're going to use that. It's going to be all fun, but then later on, we're going to use other types of APIs as well to integrate tools like generative AI or image generation or audio production, etc. So for now, go to the cat API and request your free API key. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to focus a lot more on the prompt that we're going to give to our AI agent in Loveable. So when we first started the course, our prompt for an app was fairly very simple. It was develop an app that does X, Y, and Z. However, it's a nice practice to give much more details to the AI developing the app, so it can have a clearer understanding of the steps that it can follow. The more details, the better. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to design a new prompt that will have a lot more details compared to what we did previously. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to ask an AI chatbot to do it for us. And so I have a prompt here that I will include in the resources. You can download and directly copy. And then we're going to take that prompt and put it in ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or Claude or any other LLM model or LLM chatbots that you use and you have access to. And this basically gives or asks GPT or ChatGPT that you are a senior prompt engineer, and then you're asking it to develop a prompt to use with our agent to develop the application. And so it has a lot of parameters that the AI model will be using or will touch on when it develops a lengthy, detailed prompt. So that is the requirements of the AI or the AI chatbot to work on. This is the instruction for the AI chatbot. And then below that, we can list our application ID. So for our case, I just wrote an application that shows a random picture of a cat together with a note-taking box that I can use to write notes for my personal use. There should also be a button. If I click it, it will change the picture of the cat. Now, to pull those pictures in, we have to have a source for them. And for this, we're going to use the cat API that we just signed up for. And so I'm going to add to the prompt here that we are using that particular API. I'm going to say to get the cat images, we will use the cat API. Now, when you're working with APIs, every API will usually come with documentation. This documentation basically gives instructions of how to use this API. And so we're gonna give those instructions as well, just so we can be in the safe side in case our AI agent does not know what the cat API is, it does not have any background in it. So we're going to go back to the cat API website, and then here on top, you're going to have documentation. So I'll go ahead and click on it. This will get you this list of documents with many different tabs. Now we're using AI for everything, and so we don't really need to comprehend any of this. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the entire text in the overview, and this text has all the information we need to use the API, like how to call it, how to use it, what are the parameters that you need, etc. So I copied the entire thing together with the example, and then I'm going to add them here to my prompt. I'm going to say here are the documentations for using this API. Again, we are providing this API information as part of the context of the prompt to the AI. For big services like OpenAI or like Claude or like 11 Labs, there is a good possibility that the AI agent already know how to use those APIs, and so we don't really need to give it any context. But for the cat API, I'm not really sure, so just in case, we're gonna do that. So now I'm coming to my Copilot, because that's the chatbot I use, and I will paste the entire prompt which we have here in the Word document. Again, I'll leave this in the downloads so you can download it and use it directly. And now in my Copilot, I will send that message, and it will write me a prompt, which is the technical blueprint basically. Okay, so it only wrote me 3 sections, and it says, would you like me to continue? I'm gonna say yes, go ahead and do that. And I think it's an okay start. So let me just go ahead and copy the entire thing and give it to Loveable. So I'll copy the first message, go to Loveable, then I'll paste that. And then go back to my Copilot, and I will copy the second message. Now, I thought it can have more details added in and how to use the API. However, it's all right. We can give this one a shot, then adjust from there. Now, all is good. I'll go ahead and push it to Loveable, and then see what happens. Now, again, we are using the free version of Loveable, so you don't have to pay anything. Just keep in mind, if you are using the free version, then all your projects are public, and so anybody can access them and use them in the way they see fit. Okay, so we have something that is popping up. Okay, now we have a version of the application. And as you can see, just like we requested, we have a picture of a cat and then a box that we can write notes in. I'm going to say this cat is pretty. It says here my notes have been saved. To be honest, I have no idea where it's going. It is saved. So let me click here and I'm getting a new picture every time. Now I have some questions, to be honest. One of them is I did not provide the key to my API, and so I'm not sure if it's actually using the cat API for this. So I'm just going to ask it, which service are you using to generate pictures of the cat? So it is telling me that the API is free and I can see the pictures are fetching new ones every time. So I guess it is working. Let me add some adjustment to it. Now I want to show the breed of the cat with each picture. So I'm going to say, can you also write the breed of the cat you are showing? Can you get this information from the API call? And just in case, again, I'm going to give it the documentation for AI, for the cat API. So I'll go back here and then I'll copy this one just because it has all the parameters. I'm going to say here are the documentations for the API. Okay, it seems, or it's saying that the breed will be shown if that information is available. Now I'm testing the app and I don't really see it. So I'm just going to come back to it and I will say, I don't really see any information displayed for the breed of the cat. Can you display it on top of the image? I'm just going to ask it if it needs the API key. Do you need the API key to access this information? And it's saying that it does not need an API key as this is already included in the call they have without an API key. And it still doesn't show. So let me go ahead and do something different. I'm just going to give it the API key I have. Then I will say use it. Use the following API key to extract the information about the breed of each cat and display that information above the picture. Here is my API key. So now that updated to where we have the name of the breed. And that, of course, happened because we ended up giving it to the API key because that information is linked to the API key. Now, from this experiment, we kind of seen that sometimes this AI agent is kind of weird. It would assume things that are not realistic or that are not real. Just like now, it thought that it can get the information about the breed of the cat without the API key, but that was not the case. And it kept telling us that it can, but there was no result displayed until we provided the API key to it. And this is something that we'll always do with troubleshooting. Luckily, though, we are not looking into the code ourselves. We can simply ask and chat and vibe with the AI until we resolve the issue. So this is good so far. What I want to do is I want to display this on top of the picture out of the frame. So I'm going to say have the breed shown in writing above the frame of the picture. And with that, we have reached our limit for the free account. But at least we got something that is working. And now we are using external services like the Cat API to be integrated into our application, which is a very big upgrade compared to what we did last time. And so we're going to stop here for this video. And next video, we're going to come back and continue working on this application. That's it for this video. In the next one, we will do something else with vibe coding. See you then. Welcome back. In the previous videos, we have built this foundation of an app using Loveable. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue adjusting this application to make it more user-friendly or more towards what we actually want. First, what I want to do is I want to move these descriptions and name of the breed to the top of the image so it does not obstruct us seeing the picture of the cat. I also want to do another modification, which I'm gonna put all together in one prompt, which is I want to have a save option right here, a button that if I click, I can save this note in my computer as a text file. So let's go ahead and give this one a shot. So first, I'm just gonna say that move the name and description of the breed to be on top of the image. so it does not overlay the image. Also, so we can see a clear picture of all. Right, so this is adjustment number one, and I'm gonna put in another request for another adjustment just to try it out because again, we are playing around, we are experimenting with the tools. I'm gonna say I also want you to add a save button below the note, taking space. This save option should save the note as a text file in my desktop. Now, just to make it clearer for the agent, I'm going to say I want you to make two different adjustments to the application that do not interfere with each other. First adjustment, then I'm gonna say here second adjustment. Then let us give this one a shot. Alright, so now we have both adjustments. First, this one is on top, so it does not interfere with the image, and that is good. And now let me test this one out. So I'm just say, well, this cat is pretty. I want to cut it so badly. This inspired me for a great idea. Now I have a text. Let me go ahead and check out this option. So I clicked on it, and guess what? I have a text file that was downloaded. And if I open it, this is the note that I have just written and I've just saved, and it did save in my PC as a desk, as a text file, which is really great. So that is mission accomplished right here. Now let me go ahead and make few other adjustments as well. I want to add sound to this, so let's give this one a shot. I want it so if I click on the picture of the cat, I'm gonna hear a sound of a cat, let's say. So let's do that. Want you to add a new feature to the application. And again, I'm using terms like I want to add a new feature because just to prompt the AI, so it kind of take that stand or take that perspective that now it's going to add something new. And I'm going to also say without changing any of the existing ones. New feature is that if I click on the image, I will hear the sound of a cat, which is a meow. Yeah, again, let's give this one a shot and see what happens. Okay, let's try this one out. So it actually does play a sound when I click on the image. I'm not sure if the mic is catching that sound or it is considering it as a noise and so not recording it, but it does play a sound. And you see here in the corner, there is a sound that the application plays when you click in the image. Now, the sound it plays is actually not the exact sound we want. And this can be a bit tricky for an AI application like this or an AI agent like this to get sounds that we want, just because it's really hard for the AI to recognize the sound because, sounds are classified as metadata and other type of classifications. And so when you ask stuff like this, sometimes it's better to provide the sound itself to the AI, so then it just plays the sound you provide. I don't really have a sound with me that is linkable that I can provide here. We're going to leave this type of adjustments for now. Maybe we can get back to it later in the course as it's a little bit more advanced. And now we have a decent app that shows pictures of cats, gives us information about them, and allows us to write and save notes. In addition, it does play a sound when we click on the image. And we're going to stop here for this one, but I really want you to just take the chance and play around here. You can try adding in any type of other new features that you think will be fun or you will think will be intriguing. You can also play around with the user interface, like asking it to change the colors or adding a dark mode, etc. Welcome back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try and publish this application. And if a good feature in Loveable as an application or as a platform is that it allows you to publish quite easily. So if I go here on top and I click on the publish, and it's going to give me a domain that is linked to the Loveable app. And if I click publish, it will hopefully publish the app for us. So I'll go ahead and copy this domain, and then I'll go to a new window and paste it. And now you have an app right here, and you can see everything that we have worked on, including the cats, the sound, and the cat inspired notes that we can save. And I can simply now take this one and share it with any other person to give me feedback or to help me work on this further. And if you made it here, congratulations, you have developed another app with Loveable.